Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Spicy Bookish Podcast with Ginger and Spice, also known as me, Nikita.
And me, Tia.
I think that's the first time we've ever introduced ourselves properly on the podcast.
By name?
Yeah. I
Probably,
actually think
yeah.
that's the first time we've ever introduced ourselves ever.
I don't even think I've ever called you Nikita anyway.
No.
To your face.
That sounds weird.
That would be weird.
Yeah, that does.
Nikita. I don't think I've ever said that
No.
to you.
That didn't. That
Excuse
sounded
me.
weird.
Oi.
Yeah.
You there.
Hello. Pay me attention.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes. Well, thanks for joining us on our very first introduction to ourselves. I watched our podcast before. This is completely irrelevant, but I'm just going to say it anyway. I actually usually wear glasses in the podcast because I am actually blind. They're not glasses for fun. I do need them. However, when I went on my break, which we're going to talk about now, I broke them. They were brand new. I broke them. One of the legs fell off. My black glasses. My brand new glasses. Yes, I can see your hand.
Right, just checking.
I'm not that blind.
What's happening with your eyes now then?
Well, everything's just a bit blurry. Yeah. Well, not a bit blurry. Everything is blurry. I mean, obviously, I know that that's my phone. I know that that's a laptop. I know that that's you.
Words?
From here, I can because I've zoomed it in.
You're not that blind then?
No, I'm not that blind, but it's more like my eyes are really affected by lights as well. So I could probably get away with driving short distances in the daytime without my glasses.
Yeah.
But at nighttime, no go. Couldn't even go around the corner. I'd be completely blinded by any light in like a mile radius.
Wow. Look at you go.
So I wouldn't be able to. But during the day I could. Like I could get in the car and go to the shop. Like if I got the car and I was going to Asda and I was like, fuck, I forgot my glasses, I would just go.
You'd just carry on.
Yeah, but if I got in the car at night time and didn't have my glasses, I would have to go back and
You
get
would crash.
them. Yeah, 100% I would crash. Yeah.
Oh, lordy.
I do like wearing them sometimes. I prefer wearing them on the podcast because when we're filming like normal content for social media, we have the light right in front of us and it glares off my glasses. So
Yeah.
I don't like wearing them for that thing. But for this thing, for the podcast, I do quite like wearing them. It makes me feel more intelligent.
Do you know what? When I look
Like
at you
proper.
sometimes, I'm like, shit, she looks clever.
Oh, that's because I am clever.
She knows what she...
I am clever, that is why.
You do know what you're saying, actually, to be fair.
Yeah, so it makes
might
me
get some.
It makes me feel profesh when I've got them on. So yeah, I do feel a bit more loosey goosey without them.
Do you?
That's our new phrase.
Oh, we're
If
living
you
on the edge.
If you listened last week, you will know that we said that about 40 times.
We're loose now.
Yeah. Well, whoa. Slow down, Tiger. We're loosey goosey
We're loosey goosey now. Sorry, I take it back.
in the terms of in regards to
Casual.
being like organised.
Look at how I'm sitting now.
Yeah.
This is how loosey goosey I am.
You're actually sitting like a misogynistic man. You know when he just sits like that, thinking he's like God's gift? That's what you're sitting like. But then they are loosey-goosey, aren't they? They're like, yeah, fuck it.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Not like a misogynistic man, but I feel
Yeah.
goosey.
Loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm going to goose out. Okay, I'll sit like this. That's fine.
Okay, anyway, we are here today to talk about the books that we read whilst I was on sabbatical /
Yes.
whilst we were on a break. I don't really know what to call it. I have absolutely no fucking clue what this specific episode is going to be called.
We were on a break. Just that.
That was a Friends reference for anyone that didn't get that.
Everyone must have got that.
Yeah. We were on a break! Oh my god, that's what we should call it.
Yeah.
The one where they were on a break. Ella, we got it.
Yeah,
That's
really
what we're
good.
calling it now.
Yeah, that's really good.
That was me talking to my sister, everyone, by the way, who edits the podcast. So, for the one where they were on a break, let's talk about the books that we read while we were on a break.
Woo!
Again, game show vibes.
Love it.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
The one where they were on a... Whoa. I couldn't get that out.
That was too many words.
The one where they were on a break. Come on down.
And first up we have...
Guild by Raven Kennedy.
That was good.
So this is my one, actually. So I'll go straight into it. I did touch on this in the last podcast because it was our top 10 of 2025. And I think it was my number 10, if I remember correctly. So for a bit of background before I go into Guild and the whole series, we decided that on our break, because we had pre-filmed all of the content for November and December, we decided that we really would take advantage of the break and we would read the books that we didn't usually get a chance, or we don't usually get a chance to read, because we're always reading joint books because we want to give our joint opinions on them. And there is books, again, I touched on this a little bit in the last podcast. There are books and there have been books and there's going to be books that we don't, jointly want to read. Maybe not, we might even want to read the same book, but maybe just not at the same time.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I know you want to read the Place of Prisoner series, but at that time, that's not what you wanted to read. Whereas for me, that's what I was desperate to read. That was like top of my list. Okay, so if I do a really quick rundown of Guild, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people listening to this might have already read it, so they already know. So I'll try and make it quick. So we've got Orin, who is a gilded saddle. A saddle is a sex slave for the royals. She is being kept in this like cage made of gold that runs the whole way through the palace that she's in, the castle that she's in, with King Midas. King Midas didn't grow up as a royal. He became a royal because of what he could offer, which is his gold touch. So he married a princess that didn't have any magic, and his gold touch obviously offered the community wealth and obviously offered the royals excessive wealth. And that's what he did. He ended up gold touching the whole castle. The whole castle is now made of gold. I'm talking the flowers, the flower pots, the tables, the floors, the walls, the ceilings, the lights. Everything was made of gold. Absolutely everything, including her cage and including her skin. As the book goes on, lots of secrets start to come out about Midas and her and their relationship together, how they got to where they are, and who really holds all of the power. That I very much enjoyed reading about. So she's with King Midas. He is her favourite. He doesn't let anybody touch her. No one else is allowed to use this favourite saddle, her. So things happen, and I don't want to spoil it. And then we end up with her no longer being in the castle, and she's with, this is going to be really difficult. So things happen, and she basically ends up at a camp with an enemy king's army. King Rot is what he's called, because his magic is to like rot the land and rot people from the inside out. So they just basically become decaying corpses. And he is feared by everyone. He's said to be kind of like the most powerful, the most feared. The commander of his army is also supposed to be extremely powerful, and feared by everyone as well. So she ends up in this army camp with the army commander, with his team. They're called his Wrath. That's his nearest and dearest, who are in charge of certain aspects, certain parts of his army. And this is where the found family comes into play. That was also very, very nice. I enjoyed all those characters. And eventually in the coming books, you get their POVs as well. That's also very nice. I will say in further books, you also get like some of the other queens' point of views from some of the other kingdoms. You've got like First Kingdom, Second Kingdom, Third Kingdom, Fourth, Fifth and Sixth. And then you've got like this mysterious Seventh Kingdom, which I'm just getting to at the moment, going into book 5. She does eventually come across King Ravenger, Slade Ravenger, also known as King Rot. I cannot go into that in any more detail because it will spoil books 1 and 2 if I go into that any further. But their relationship is 15,000 out of 10. Amazing. Honestly, I'm having such a good time. So Guild was one of the first things I went into when I was on my break. It was one of the first books I went straight into. And I knew it was going to be a big commitment series because it's 6 books. And they start off not small, but they start off like normal, 400-500 pages, whatever. And then they do get bigger as the books go on. And then as you come, I think book 6 is slightly smaller. So I think it goes up to like 720 pages at like book 4. And then it goes down to like 680 and then goes down to like 620. It's something like that. So it kind of goes up and then goes down again in regards to pages. Overall, I found book 4, which is all I've read up to the end of book 4. I found book 4 a real struggle. And I've not been quiet about that. I've not made a secret about that I've struggled with that. I absolutely ate up Guild, which is book 1. So you've got Guild, Glint, Gleam, Glow, Gold, and Goldfinch. Great names. I think the covers and the visuals for the books are really good, really simple. And every single title is relevant to each book. If you've read it, you'll know that. Guild, I absolutely loved. I hadn't read anything like this before in the sense of like a Midas retelling. There was also like snow pirates in this, and I got to the snow pirates and I was like, oh my god, I've never heard of snow pirates before. I've never read anything like that, and I really thoroughly enjoyed that section. I love the fact that, I don't want to spoil it, so I love the element of being able to turn something to gold. I liked that she was in this gilded cage, so the cage was made of gold and it had been built into the castle by King Midas. It had been built into the castle so she could freely move around all the rooms, but she was not free because she was in the cage. It was very, very clever, I thought anyway. So Orin is a saddle. She's a royal saddle for King Midas. And she has these, like, she's gold touched. So he has touched her and turned her skin to gold. So she is said to be the king's favourite. He doesn't let anybody touch her. She has these ribbons that like come out of her back and they're like magical. They've got like a mind of their own. And if you think about Broken Bonds, that series about how her, what was it that she had? The bond. Her bond had like a mind of its own, didn't it? That's exactly what her ribbons are like. So I think it was either 12 or 24 ribbons she had on her back. Like, right down the middle of her back came out of her skin, so they were a part of her. And some of the scenes with the ribbons were honestly so good, just like the scene with her bond in Broken Bonds. So funny about how it was like trying to latch onto this person that it very much liked the MMC. Yeah. She was like fighting against it, but the ribbons were like curling around his leg and kind of like playing footsie with him, and she was like, fucking stop it, will you? Get away from him. Do you know what I mean? Then you have Slade Ravenger, the MMC, which everybody talks about. And when I tell you, it really is a slow burn with him, not just with their relationship, but getting to know him, knowing who he is specifically, more in depth, his relationship with her. And also a slow burn on, how do I say this, like how spicy he is. Oh. So as the books go on, their scenes get spicier and spicier, and he really comes out of his shell. By the end of book 4 in Glow, I was it wiped the floor with me. The spice in book 4 wiped the floor with me, honestly. So I stopped around page 500. Bear in mind, there's like 720 pages, something like that. And I was like, I need a break. Like, I actually need a break. This is a long slog. Like, nothing is happening. It really has kind of plateaued. So I gave myself a break. And when I came back to it, about less than 100 pages later, it really started to kick in. Like, everything started to kick off. Obviously, as you would expect from like a fantasy book, you know, the last 100 to 200 pages, you know, it goes off.
That comes in, for sure.
And all of the plot and all of it kicks off. So I was sort of a little bit like, oh, fuck's sake, I should have just carried on. I shouldn't have stopped. And I fucking loved the last 200 pages, the last 100 pages especially. But the spice, the plot, everything that happened in that final 200 pages was absolutely fucking insane. And the final scenes, genuinely, I'm not even joking when I said this, I had actual goosebumps.
Did you?
Yeah, it was just, I knew, leading up to it, in the scenes, leading up to what was happening, I knew. You know when you're like, oh my God, I know what's going to happen. Oh my God, oh no. And I was literally sat like this, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then when it happened, I had actual goosebumps in my arms. Genuinely. Nice. It was just so good. So now I can't wait to get into the rest of the series. I will say, I got to page 500 of Glow and I had eyeball read everything up to then. I did not touch the audio and I had a really good time. Obviously, I started to struggle with Glow. And everyone had said to us, you need to do the audio. And in last week's podcast, I said, I think I'm going to switch to the audio. And I downloaded it. What I hadn't downloaded was Glow. Because I was like, I'm so close to the end. It feels like a waste of money to buy it. But when I went back to try and eyeball, I was struggling. I was like, no, I'm going to have to get the audio for the last like 200 odd pages. Yeah. So I did. And I'm so glad I did because it really heightened the experience. So now I'm like chomping at the bit, ready for the rest of it. Now, so like, I genuinely can't wait.
Would you say to audio the whole lot?
I would, purely because it becomes a bit of a struggle. And I'm not the only person that said that. Everyone has said that. Even you said it last week. A lot of people said to us that they sort of DNF'd it around book 4. It was very fun to eyeball read it. However, because it gets a bit long in the middle, I would say audio to keep your attention. Sure. Definitely. Or immersive read it if you can, if you've got the time, or a little bit of both. So to go through stars and chilies for each book, I'm actually just going to rattle through this really quickly. I gave Guild 5 stars and 2 chili peppers. That's book 1. I gave Glint, book 2, 4.5 stars and 2 chili peppers. Gleam, which is book 3, I gave 4 stars and 2.5 chili peppers. And Glow, which is book 4, I actually ended up giving this 4.5 stars and 3 chili peppers. Purely because of the second half / final third. Otherwise, we would have been looking at a 3.5 star because I would have been right down the middle. I would have been like, yeah, it was fine. It got me to the next book. It was, yeah, sure. But it really pulled it back last 200 pages. Is there anything else I wrote in here? Oh, yeah. I mean, there's loads of quotes in this. spicy quotes specifically that I absolutely loved, and I'm going to talk about some of them when we do our quotes of the month post on social media.
Yes, indeed.
But there's one quick one that I just want to specifically say, and this was honestly the start of me just melting into a puddle. But he says to her towards the end, book 4, "Suck me, baby. I want to see those cheeks hollow out."
Sir.
I mean,
Sure.
the absolute filth that came out of his mouth. I was like, okay, now I get why. Because up to this point, I've been like, yeah, he's all right. Like, you can, obviously he's hot, he's possessive, he'll do anything for her. Standard.
Classic.
Yeah. Fantasy guy, you know, shadow daddy type thing. You know, I get it, whatever. And then this spice happened and I was like, okay, now I get it.
I'm here.
Now I see. And I'm totally on board. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, well, what's your first one you want to talk about?
Hang on.
I feel like I just spoke for like really ages now, and now I need a break.
You have a break. Have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
Hey!
Okay, so I spent most of my break actually reading Christmas books, and I had the time of my life. Did like a mix of audio and eyeball. An awfully large amount of novellas, which was nice. Like I smashed through like one a day, some days. But this one that I'm going to talk about first is actually a big book. Like it's 500 pages and it is Filthy Santas. A lot of people have said to read it. It's Filthy Rich Santas by Eva Ashwood. And a lot of people had said to read it. And I was kind of like, oh, I'm not really sure because it is quite big. But then I got into it big time. So this one is about, so we've got Lana, who is with someone at the beginning. They're engaged but not engaged, and he ends up breaking up with her because she's too chubby to be wife material. So she's like, fuck you. Anyway, so then she goes to a saucy club because she wants to like experience new things, and it turns out that her brother's 3 best friends own the club. So she goes in, he's like, one of them is like, nah, you ain't coming in here, go. So she ends up leaving, she's not experiencing anything new. Then they turn up at her house and they're like, look, we're going to drive you down because we know that there's something going on. We're going to drive you down for Christmas to your parents' house. She's like, ugh, fine. So they all end up going on this road trip. And on the way, obviously, because it's 3 guys, it gets saucy as hell. So feelings start getting involved. And then she turns around to them and she's like, look, I want to experience new things in the bedroom. Would you like to help me? And they're like, absolutely. Of course we'll help you. But it stays on the road trip. And when I tell you, this got so spicy. Like, I actually thought I was going to cease to exist. God. Genuinely, like, it nearly ended me. She done a triple pen in... Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So it started off slow. She started off with one guy. And then the other 2 started getting jealous. We have Beckett, Tristan and Ryder. So Beckett is like the grumpy one. He wasn't really getting involved because he was like, you know, that's my best friend's sister. Like, I can't be doing these things. Tristan was the first guy that she went with. He's had past trauma and they kind of like bounced off each other.
Trauma bonded.
Yeah. Because she's obviously had a breakup because she is a chunky girl. And she's also got lupus as well, which kind of unfolds. Her family don't know about it. Her family are very like controlling, wanted her to marry this guy, but he was a dick. Yeah, so they ended up bonding. And then you had Ryder, which was like the golden retriever. So the mix of men was like, mwah, chef's kiss. Loved it. So yeah, the whole way through, it was just hella spicy. Of course, they all ended up falling in love and they had to tell their family and it was really great. I honestly had the time of my life. Even when she triple penned, I was like, I'm down.
Yeah. That sounds intense, doesn't it?
I couldn't, the logistics of the triple pen, I was trying to figure out, and I was like, I don't understand how that's happening.
So how did that happen?
So they end up going to Ryder's nan's house because she's like part of the family or some weird stuff. Anyway, so they end up going to bed, and then because it's Christmas Day the next day, they have a little Christmas bonk.
Nice.
And triple pen is the answer, apparently.
But what was the logistics? Like, who was where?
I can't even remember. I'm not going to lie. But they were in the nan's house and I was like, that's fine. Okay. And
wrong.
It just felt like a really nice coming together situation for Christmas. Yeah. Yeah. Literally, they did. But I was like, how? Where were they all standing?
Yeah, that's what I was just trying to... As you were talking,
I reckon you've got one laying underneath I reckon you've got one laying underneath and she was on top. Obviously one in the front. Can you get two?
No, so I was thinking there'll be the one lying underneath, then the guy kneeling between both of their legs, and then another guy in front of him sort of semi-standing up. Do you get what I mean? So he'll be on his knees, maybe leaning back a little bit, and then another guy would have come in front of him to go in as well.
Oh, that's like a Liam and Asher situation where they were holding on to each other's. So Asher was laying down and then Liam laid on top of Asher and then they were both in the front.
Yeah, so it could be like that, yeah.
I mean, either way, that's a lot, isn't it?
That Liam and Asher was referring to Gallows Hill by Katelyn Taylor, by the way.
But yeah, she took every single thing they threw at her like a champ. And I was honestly proud.
Okay, stars and chili peppers.
So I gave it 5 stars and 5 chilies.
5 chili peppers.
It was...
I mean, it's got to be 5.
Rogue.
You've got triple P in the V.
She took it everywhere.
Holy shit balls.
Everywhere you could think of.
That's when it becomes, I think, like, I enjoy reading it, but not for, like, the reasons that you would think. Not because I'm like, oh, yeah. It's because I'm like, fucking hell.
Come on, girl.
Yeah. Okay, so, shall I go into my next one?
Absolutely.
Actually... Okay, I'm actually going to bundle my next ones together. We're kind of running out of time a little bit, to be honest, so I'm going to bundle these ones together. I have got End Scene by Nikki James and Rule Breakers and Risk Takers, also by Nikki James. I went down a little bit of a hole of hers. I read End Scene. I can't even remember how I got to it, but I wanted to read something that was like heavy taboo. I was just in the mood. I read End Scene and I was like, okay, well, obviously now I need to read everything that she's written. So eventually, after, a bit of a break, I went back and I read Rule Breakers and Risk Takers. Now, Risk Takers is the novella, the prequel novella to Rule Breakers. Now, let's start with End Scene. This is biological twins. I had such a good time reading this, and I'm going to unapologetically say that I had a wonderful time. The only downside for me to this, and it was the only reason I didn't give it 5 stars, is I found the main MMC to be just a tad bit annoying in quite a few places, like to the point where I was like, shut up and get on with it. Like, he was just going on and on. I do get why, because the author was trying to convey a very specific personality type, which if you read it, you'll understand what I mean. So you've got these twins. One of them is gay. He's very, very gay. Unapologetically gay. He comes out to his parents and he gets kicked out. So now he's in college. He's got no way to pay for college because he's not being funded by his parents anymore. Yeah. Like, he needs a car, all this kind of stuff. So now he needs cash fast. So he's like scouring the internet trying to find out how he can make cash. Then he comes across this ad that he applies for, and they basically need twins to be like the front cover of this very successful author's upcoming book that's got a lot of traction, and it's about biological twins. So they want twins on the front cover, sort of actual twins, to drum up more attention. So he applies for it, having not spoken to his own twin first. So his twin is still living at home. His twin is straight for now. So he applies to this and sort of doesn't really think anything of it. It's a lot of money. It was something ridiculous, like 20 grand. I can't remember, don't quote me on that, but it was a very large sum of money. So he ends up getting the interview and stuff. Things escalate. He's like, oh shit, I actually could get this money. Now I need to get my brother on board. So he goes to his brother, he has a talk with him, and he says, look, I need to do this, blah, blah, blah. I need this money. Anyway, they come to an agreement. The brother eventually agrees after a bit of back and forth. So because of this, and because they have to be intimate, like for the photographs, for the promo videos, that kind of thing, they obviously have to be very intimate with each other. They have to be comfortable with being sort of like naked with each other, like with the tiniest sliver of a cover, maybe like boxes on or something like that. They have to be comfortable. So they decide that they're going to practice before going into the actual interviews. They go into an interview one day and they're not overly comfortable with each other, and that's radiating through. And I think, if I remember right, there was 3 people in the interview. There was the author and then there was 2 other people. One person was a fellow gay man, quite a bit older, took a liking to the 2 of them. Then there was the author who did like them. She was a female. And then there was the other guy who was just a bit of an arsehole and was constantly critiquing them, being like, no, we don't need them. Look at them. They're not comfortable. They can't even do it, blah, blah, blah. So they got to a point where they were like wanting to prove this guy wrong. And they actually, they were like, no, we can do it. Like, we need to prove him wrong. So because they were quite uncomfortable and they got that kind of feedback, they were like, right, we obviously really need to go hard on practicing. And when I tell you, oh my fucking God, it actually didn't get spicy until about halfway through. So there was a big build up. So by the time it got to it, and you got even a slither of spice. Honestly, I was like, holy shit. Holy fucking shit. Honestly, it was absolutely insane. And I'm talking like just the most tension-driven like scenes I've ever read. It was insane. It was double-edged vibes, like that kind of level of tension.
Lordy.
So there was scenes where they were like, oh, we just need to like just practice being naked together or like touching each other. Then they had to practice sort of like kissing each other, because they had to kiss in like the photos and stuff like that and the videos. So they had to practice kissing each other. So they were like practicing whilst they were like, oh, we may as well practice like while we're like sort of naked, but they like left their boxes on. So there were scenes where they would be like accidentally, there was one where they kind of like accidentally rubbed up against each other, but then neither of them stopped. So then it kept going until they finished. And then it was like they were a bit embarrassed about it and stuff like that. And it just escalated perfectly.
Oh,
like
that's great.
The pacing of it was perfect, and it felt, obviously it didn't feel natural, because that's not a natural thing to happen. Obviously.
But
within the context of the book, it felt natural. And I absolutely loved it. Yeah, so it was MM. And then obviously, you know, they started to have feelings for each other. And even the straight brother, you know, is sort of like, you know, I don't really want another man, but I want you. Like, I'm gay for you, essentially. And yeah, it's just really good. They obviously, feelings get involved and blah, blah, blah. And it is a happy ending. I had such a good time. So I gave this 4.5 stars. And I gave it 4.5 to 5 chili peppers. I think purely because of it being twins.
The relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously did progress. I mean, there were scenes with the guy at the interview that took a liking to them. He pays them a lot of money to put on a show for him, because he's like, me and my husband or fiance, whatever, like properly get off on the taboo element of the two of you doing this. So can we pay you, and we'll just sit in a corner and we'll watch you to do your thing in like a hotel room. And that was absolutely insane.
Woo! Hello.
You'd love it. You would absolutely eat it up.
This up.
It was so good. I really loved it. Honestly, I would recommend it only if you're okay with obviously kind of like dark romance taboo shit. And the other one, which I'll talk about really quickly actually, because it wasn't my favourite. It was along similar lines. So I'll talk about this really, really quickly. So you've got Rule Breakers and Risk Takers. Risk Takers was the prequel novella. I gave it 4.5 stars and 4 chili peppers. This one was just MM. And the main book, which is Rule Breakers, is MMM. And I gave it 4 stars and 5 chili peppers. Now, Risk Takers, the prequel novella, is an uncle and his nephew. So it's age gap, uncle, nephew.
Right. Love it.
Biological. And that was decent. Like, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the build-up. Again, it felt like... not natural, because it's not something that should happen, but it felt natural to the story, the way it happened and everything, and how they came to be together in that situation. And then Rule Breakers is how we got to the point of MMM. Now.
Oh, Lordy.
Now.
Oh, Lordy.
This is the uncle, obviously, the nephew, but also, and I'm going to let you piece this together when I say it, the uncle's brother.
Oh, Lordy. Okay.
Which is...
the dad.
Yes.
Oh, Lordy.
Oh. And yeah, I just want to preface this by saying I didn't know this going into it. I went into this one completely blind. Like, it wasn't obvious from the blurb on the website, and I'm okay with taboo. I don't particularly have any triggers, so I just jumped in. I did get to the end of this, and I was like, I think this might be my limit.
Yeah. Do you know what? I don't know what it is. It's the dad thing.
Yeah.
Stepdad I'm fine with. Lap that shit up. But the dad thing, I don't know why. It really turns me.
Yeah.
You know, like when we read, what was it, Wild and Free?
Yeah.
Oh, Lordy.
Yeah.
That
it
took me
really
a while to
does.
read.
I've said this to you before. There is such a big difference between daddy and dad.
Yeah.
And I just think the dad thing, like the uncle nephew thing, fine, whatever, on board, I can enjoy it. Stepdad and twins, like double-edged twins, fine, all of that, fine. But as soon as the dad's involved, and I'm talking like dad, no, not.
It's just, it really weirds me out, and I can't explain it because, like you said, twins, fine.
But
brother,
obviously
sister,
not fine. But yeah.
Well, yeah, in real life, not fine. To read, I'm like, yeah, I'm eating this up. Stepdad, eating this up.
As soon as the dad's involved,
why is he
it
involved?
becomes a little bit like, oh, Actually, no, I don't think so. So that's how I felt. So that's why I gave it 4. I gave it 4 stars because the dad actually didn't get involved until right towards sort of the end, and the dad's son stuff did not happen until right at the very end. To be perfectly honest, so it was mainly like uncle and nephew for most of it.
Yeah.
But the dad and the uncle and his brother obviously were already doing bits from years ago.
Right.
So they'd already established some form of relationship. They'd broken it off for years. Because the dad got a woman pregnant.
Yeah.
So the dad was bi. The dad got a woman pregnant, had this son young. So they broke it off, obviously, whilst he tried to have this relationship with the mother of his child. That relationship ended up ending. It didn't work out. And then his son obviously took a liking to the uncle. So the uncle got involved with the nephew / the son. And then because the dad was no longer with the mum, the dad and the uncle then started to get involved again together. And the uncle was sort of like, well, I want both of you and it's all or nothing for me. So either I get both or we get nothing. That's my terms. And I was like, I mean, okay.
Okay, dokie.
And it was fine. At first it was like, you know, the dad and the son were not crossing swords at all in any way, shape or form. And even they were like, oh, this is a bit uncomfortable. But they were like doing things with the uncle and they were doing it for the uncle. And then eventually they got past that and they did do bits. And that's where I was like, no. I'm going to finish it because I'm right near the end, but this is not for me.
Even just the thought of that, like I'm visually picturing it in my head.
Yeah.
I just don't know how you get to that point where you're like, sure,
I mean,
I'll do it.
I did enjoy it and I don't regret reading it. Again, I love reading things that push my boundaries a little bit and that do make me a bit uncomfortable. And then I learn from it. You know, is that my thing? No. Will I read something like that again? No. Now I know it pushes my boundaries a bit. And I do think as well, it does have everything to do with the way it's been written. And I'm not saying it was written badly. I'm just saying it wasn't to my taste the way those scenes were maybe written, which is absolutely fine. I still gave it 4 stars. I did still very much enjoy it, but it was more like the uncle and nephew aspect. Yeah. Even the brother on brother aspect's fine. But yeah, that's where I kind of like, I think I'm going to tap out here. You go into your next one quickly and then we'll have a little break.
Yeah, baby. Okay, my next one is Graves and Griggs. I was absolutely buzzing off my tits to read this one. Katelyn Taylor. So this is the crossover between the Graves book and the Gallows Hill series.
Yes.
The crossover that we didn't know that we needed for Christmas. So we have got Xaden and Dom, which are the Graves twins. So they've got someone coming after them. They're currently in like a hideout situation in the Caribbean. And Vincent Griggs actually owes Xaden a favour. If you've read Gallows Hills, you'll know why. So he calls the favour in. He's like, I need some help because someone's after me and I need you to jump in on this. So they all move and join into the house of the Gallows Hills people. Now, it's total fucking carnage. Of course it is, because the testosterone is heightened and all of them just want to go for each other. I mean, Xaden is absolutely insane anyway. Yeah. Like, nutter. Vincent's kind of like, they're chill. Like, everyone's all right. We're all good. Liam's just Liam. He's just his golden retriever self. But yeah, so they're all joined into one house. The girls are starting to get on. You've got the kids as well. They're all getting on. And yeah, it gets hella spicy in some places. And they catch the bad guys.
It's very plot driven, isn't it?
Yeah.
Graves and Griggs. It's actually very plot driven, which if you've read Gallows Hill and even Graves to some degree, I guess you would probably go into this expecting it to be just pure smut, just smut. And actually the spice that she does write in it is very, very good. Obviously it's Katelyn Taylor, but actually it is very plot driven.
It is.
And there is a really nice relationship build up between the 2 FMCs from each series, or from book / series for the other one. So obviously with Gallows Hill you've got Skylar and her 5 MMCs.
Yeah, baby.
Holy shit balls. Yeah. And then obviously you've got Xaden and Dom and what was her name? Blake. You've got Blake. So Blake and her 2 MMCs. So then it becomes 2 FMCs and 7 male main characters.
Honestly.
All in this one house. Plus their children who are just fucking running around manic. It's fucking
insane.
crazy.
It was so good. It was only like 200 pages long as well. And I genuinely would take a full book.
Oh, 100%.
I would take a full book
taken
of that whole
book.
situation.
Yeah.
Because it was just so good.
I also would have as well. Yeah.
So one of my favourite scenes is the kitchen scene. Now, I remember when I started this, and I think I posted it on socials, And I had so many people message us saying, wait until you get to the kitchen scene. And when I tell you that kitchen scene,
oh my God,
I was dragging myself along the floor like, what the hell have I just read? We've got Liam, the golden retriever, who is kind of goading Xaden about how many O's he can give Skylar. And Xaden's like, yeah, but I bet I can give my woman more O's. So he's like, oh yeah, you think? Come on then, competition time. So both the women are literally laying on the kitchen top, and then Xaden and Liam are just going to town on both women. But just the way that it was written was so hot. Like,
they made like eye contact to each other as well whilst they were like down there doing bits.
It was so good. But then even like, because Liam's obviously with Asher, Liam was kind of like, can I do it with Xaden? Xaden was like, don't stop looking at me. Like, stop looking at my junk kind of thing. It was so funny and it was just so good. And I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Also, I audioed this. And if you've done the audio for Gallows Hills, you'll know 1010. And this was exactly the same. Like, the audio slapped so hard, I fell down. So, my ratings for this, I gave it 5 stars. And the spicy ratings were 3.5 because, like we said, it wasn't crammed with spice, but the spice was absolutely delicious when it hit. And yeah,
I agree. I would have liked a full book for that. I would have read a full book.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, now we're going to go into a break.
Woohoo!
Okay, guys, we've actually got something we want to talk about. So, this is BookTok news.
Da-da-da-da.
Coming live from the Spicy Bookish Podcast studio.
My God, that was sexy.
Thank you.
That was really good. I like that a lot.
Thanks. So, if you're on the old TikTok, you will have seen this. I can't get my phone out because I'm filming on my phone. But you will have seen this video posted by a lovely lady called Maddie Clark, I believe her name is. I'm just going to try and bring it up on my tablet, actually, and I will be very kind and let you all watch it. I actually wasn't going to name her, to be fair, because I felt a little bit like, well, she doesn't really deserve it. She doesn't really deserve the airtime. But you know what? If you want to go and watch it,
actually,
how about it?
Don't do it, because she'll get something out of that, won't she?
It's already on like 1.3 million views or something like that. So I think we've gone past that point now.
Okay.
So this girl called Maddie Clark posted a video on TikTok. Now, it came up on our For You page quite early on, and I seen it, and I immediately took a screenshot of it. I just knew. I knew it was going to be a fucking problem. So let me just play you the start of the video. I'm just going to turn my tablet around so you can see it.
Do not trust you little bitches on BookTok and your stupid Kindle Unlimited book recommendations talking about this is 5 stars, this is one of the best books I've ever read. Meanwhile, when I was 12 years old, I was reading One Direction fan fiction written by someone whose first language was not English on Wattpad, and it was still...
Yeah. The whole video is basically her just ranting, because she obviously believes her opinions to be factual. Which, you know, you do you, boo, whatever. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, even if it is wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
However, the delivery of your opinions does matter. And there is a few points I actually would like to discuss here today with the court. My first issue is she starts the video by calling an entire community bitches, when the irony of it is, for that whole video, she is being a bitch.
For sure.
So, you know, the irony of that is probably lost on absolutely nobody. She's essentially calling the entire community thick because, contrary to what you may believe, Maddie, we actually do have comprehension and basic understanding. And reading between the lines, you've essentially called the entire community thick for not reading what you deem to be literary masterpieces, which I obviously wholeheartedly disagree with, being a part of that community myself.
Yeah. Same.
You also should not assume that just because people are posting about a certain type of book, it doesn't mean that they aren't reading what you deem to be literary masterpieces behind the scenes. That's a very unfair judgment, and that makes you look stupid to assume that. One of the things that she talks about in the video is that a lot of these books on BookTok are basically just copy and paste books by authors, and us as readers are giving them 5 and 6 stars and saying that they are masterpieces and everybody should read them. It's the best book I've ever read. Now, she is saying that these authors shouldn't be copying and pasting these books and these tropes to be successful, is basically what she's saying. And us as readers should not be giving them 4, 5, 6 stars. I think the irony of that is that she has taken rage bait, which is widely frowned upon, and used it as a means for her content and her video to be successful, to then shit on an author and an entire community for using something that she deems to be frowned upon, which is a copy and paste, to be successful. She's doing the same thing. Exactly the same thing.
Literally exactly the same.
I mean, just to come online and call out a whole community like that is absolutely
disgraceful.
insane.
It's disgraceful. I think it's disgusting.
She's basically just shamed the whole community as well. And the community is mainly women, let's be honest. Now, you and I have worked really hard to build a safe space for women to come online and talk about the books that they read, whether they're a spicy book, whether it's not a spicy book. It's just a safe space for women to be free and talk about whatever they want, and maybe be that BookTok friend, that bookish friend that they don't have in real life. And it's people like her actually acting like a misogynistic man and shaming the community for reading whatever they want to read. She's essentially trying to push people into reading what she deems to be literary masterpieces, but all she's doing is shaming people into A, not reading what they want to read, and B, not talking about it, feeling ashamed to talk about it. And that in itself is absolutely disgusting. I absolutely cannot condone a woman shaming other women. I absolutely cannot condone that.
Do you know what? Like, it's taken away people's voices.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, we're here to give everyone a voice, because if you enjoy the books that we enjoy, we want you to fucking talk about it. We're going to talk about it loud and proud because we fucking love them. And the fact that you're out there trying to take that away from us and try and shame us and make us feel bad for what we like? No.
I mean, let's be honest, it's not that fucking deep, really.
It's
really
not.
Who gives a shit? It's not that deep. If anyone ever wanted any indication as to how petty I actually am, when the video very first came up on our For You page, I actually went through all of the comments at that point and blocked everybody that agreed with her. I did. I actually did.
Because we don't want you in our safe space, thank you.
You're not welcome in our safe space.
Here.
And you certainly do not get to come on and shit on the community and then think that every now and again you can just sort of like dip your toe in for a little spicy book recommendation. Absolutely not.
No, thank you.
Fuck
not
right
in our
off.
space.
I actually did block her, but I unblocked her for the purpose of being able to show you that video, and I will go and block her again after, because absolutely no, sir, thank you, will you be anywhere near our safe space. No. Do you know what's worse than someone not reading literary masterpieces or rating copy and paste books 5 or 6 stars? Do you know what's worse than that?
What?
Being a cunt.
Hey! Cheers.
Cheers. Okay, that is BookTok news over. Hopefully the next time we talk about some BookTok news, it might be a little bit more positive, because, you know, we're not really negative Nancy's and we don't really like taking the tone of the place down. No. You know, especially with judgmental pricks. So hopefully next time it's a bit more positive. So let's get back to it. We're going to go into Between Two Kings now.
Yes, baby!
Everyone has been asking for this, like, constantly since we read it end of last year. And we did film a review of this actually last week, but we didn't really like the way that it was set up. We filmed it in here for socials, but not in a podcast way. And we weren't keen on it.
Do you know what's really funny? He was like, let's go into something more positive now.
Oh, yeah. This is not positive.
No. Keep it light.
Yeah, this is not going to be a positive review. We're going to try and keep this quick, because in all honesty, we could ramble about this for a really long time. So we'll try and keep this super, super duper quick. So, obviously, this is book 2 to Kiss of the Basilisk. Kiss of the Basilisk, we very much enjoyed. We both gave that 5 stars, 5 chili peppers. I absolutely loved it. Overall, I am just going to continue on my life believing that Kiss of the Basilisk was a standalone.
Me too, because this was fucking shocking.
Yeah.
I couldn't get on with this book at all. Like, I've nothing positive to say about it.
No, I also don't really have all that much positive. There's a couple of scenes that I did like in this book that were quite good, that you could deem as positive. There was a scene where she was on a bench outside with Caspian. Caspian was touching her up. Apollo was across the way on another bench outside, and he was watching, and Caspian was getting her off for Apollo. That was quite a nice scene. The Ouroboros, when they were in a big 69er circle, that was quite fun. Didn't really go the way I think either of us wanted it to go at the end of it. But it was still fun. It was just like one giant 69er circle, really. That was quite inventive. There was a man juice fountain if you wish, which actually was anticlimactic.
Very.
Excuse the pun.
Yeah, very.
You know, it just didn't really go anywhere. It didn't have the same oomph, the same impact. You know, in book 1 there was a lot of scenes that was like, whoa, like what the fuck, and there was loads to talk about, wasn't there? And it was fun, it was new, and it was fresh. And I don't know, it sort of all fell off a little bit in this book.
Yeah, this felt like it was just thrown together out of nowhere. There were so many characters in this that were completely pointless. So we had Leo from book 1. He had a very small part in this now. He was barely in it.
Yep.
We had Apollo that came out of nowhere. That's Caspin's brother. Again, he was only in it probably 3 times. We actually all thought that they were going to end up coming together and it would all be very lovely and very sexy. And that never happened. So, yeah, I mean, I found the whole thing pretty pointless.
I also found it pointless. And I am convinced that the only reason the author brought Apollo in was to tie up the end that she wanted to write better. Because when you think about it, without Apollo, she wouldn't have been able to write the ending that way. The book would have had to have been very different to get to that ending still without Apollo. I honestly swear to God, I think she only brought Apollo in to make the ending tie up a little bit neater, because after the ending, he was just redundant. He was redundant the whole way up to it. Then he played a part in the ending. And then after the ending, sort of epilogue way and stuff like that, redundant again. And it was sort of a little bit like, well, why were you even here?
Do you know what wound me up as well? Is that during the Ouroboros, which I was having an all right time, to be fair, they were saying about how good his mouth action is. And I put down, I was like, justice for Apollo's mouth action from the Ouroboros, because I was like, why didn't we get more of that? Like, Apollo should have had a massive part. If he's meant to be very good with his mouth, he should have been able to use it more.
There's nothing positive to say about it, is there?
No, I've got, what was the actual point in this book? Please and thank you. I'm still fuming. I wasted my eyeball time. Kiss of the Basilisk was basically a standalone.
Yeah, so I gave this 2 stars and you gave it
2.5
stars. And I don't want it to be misconstrued, because if you've read it and you know how it ends, I don't want people to think that we're just angry because of how it ended. We're annoyed and upset and angry, I guess, to a certain degree, about the whole thing. Yeah. The whole thing fell flat. The pacing of it, the characters, the character development for all of them was just way off. Like you said, even about Leo, he turned into this like pathetic weak bitch, which I get because of the whole, she crested him in the previous book and that all of a sudden needed to be consummated, and if it wasn't consummated, Leo was going to die. Caspian, who is the Serpent King and God knows how old, didn't even know about this. Like that I couldn't believe. I could not believe that Caspian didn't know that if you crest someone that you're in love with, it has to be consummated. I cannot believe, first of all, I couldn't believe that. And I was like, you've already lost me here already. And then just Leo's parts. Like, we did not get the Leo from book 1 at all. Like, he was just gone. And it was so sad. I was a full team Leo girly, and I ended book 2 being more of a Caspian girly because of the way she wrote Leo in book 2.
You know what? And it doesn't make any logical sense, the fact that she, as an author, was very vocal about how much she hated Caspian.
Yeah.
Someone she wrote. She hates him a lot, and yet he had this massive role in this book. No one else had such a big role as what he did.
Yep. And then also, he also went on to have somewhat of a redemption as well. Because, again, if you've read it, he writes these, like, almost love letters, I guess, essentially. And Leo also writes her these letters. And when you compare the letters between each other, Leo's letters were basically written by, they look like they were written by a 5-year-old. Yeah. And Caspian's letters were these massive declarations, and they were amazing and poetic. And I was like, what the fuck? I thought you hated him. Like, I didn't get it. I didn't get it at all. Was I angry about what she did in the end? Yeah. Would I still have been angry if she'd written the rest of the book differently, like, and made the other characters maybe a bit better and the rest of the book was better? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it was just anger on top of anger. But my anger isn't just because of what she did at the end. It's all of it. It was just not good. It really wasn't. It wasn't at all. The spice missed the mark. The pacing missed the mark. It didn't have any, like, oh my God moments. It didn't really have any, like, proper shock value moments at all. It really was like she was clutching on at straws. And now she's going on to write some, like, prequel.
I won't be reading that.
Which I'm definitely not going to read. Why would I read that now?
I know how this book ends. I will not be reading the prequel.
No.
What's the point?
No. I actually also unfollowed her on social media. because I was that mad about it. I was like, I cannot believe that's what you served us up. I would rather have you have taken another year to write this book and do it properly than rush it just to get it out, because obviously trying to
off the back of Kiss of the Basilisk.
Off the back of the popularity of Kiss of the Basilisk and just trying to keep up on that hype train. I'd rather she just took longer. I think people still would have read it. It just felt like she churned it out for the sake of it, really, and trying to keep up with the hype. And it was massively disappointing. And I know, there's been very mixed reviews. I've seen, some people giving it 5 stars. Mainly, I've seen people giving it sort of like 2 to 3 mainly, and there is a lot of anger around how she wrote this book. That's it really. I don't really feel like we need to delve into that anymore. We didn't enjoy it. That's our thoughts. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, or if you want to talk spoiler wise, feel free to send us a DM on social media and we can have a chat about it,
because we have lots to say.
Yeah, we do have a lot to say, but we don't want to spoil it too much for people that are listening to this and maybe haven't read it yet and want to. We did have other books we wanted to talk about, but we've actually run out of time now. So we might touch on them in another podcast. We were going to talk about Bad Bishop, which is a book that I read whilst I was on a break, but you've recently just audiobooked it, I believe. So I think we're actually going to leave that and talk about it in a wrap-up podcast, because I was quite vocal on social media about how much I loved that book, and I'm yet to talk about it properly. So I think being able to talk about it together would be good. So we've run out of time to talk about that today, but we'll talk about it in another podcast very, very soon.
Yeah, baby.
Definitely won't be my last LJ Shen book, put it that way. I absolutely fucking loved it. So I think that's it. So we'll see you next week for... What is next week?
We wrote it down. What did we write down?
We'll see you next week for whatever... whatever next week's podcast is.
No, wait. No, come on. No, it's the wrap-up.
Yeah.
It is the wrap-up.
Okay, we got there in the end.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, we'll see you next week for our January reading wrap-up, which is actually when we'll talk about Bad Bishop.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, cheers. See you then.